Hi and welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. Today guys, we're going to be jumping down into the world of Bitcoin, taking a look at what's been going on, what we think is going to happen next, and all that wonderful stuff. So as I get into this video, if you find it useful and informative, hit the like button. I do appreciate that. If you happen to be new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. If you haven't yet joined us in Discord, link is in the description down below. Fantastic community talking crypto 24/7. If you missed the live stream that we did on Twitch earlier today, I'll link that in the description below as well. If you're looking for a little bit more from the crypto space, check out some of the links in the description, such as the Patreon services or the community-led podcast, all those things, all down below. Let's get started. Bitcoin paired up with USDT on the hourly chart. Binance is our data source. Now, here we have got two clear different directions that we can go in, okay? And the market is incredibly undecided right now. This is pretty typical over a weekend when the volumes drop down quite low, and we can talk about, what that might mean next week a little bit in detail. I'm going to go through essentially what I think is the most probable scenario here when we have this kind of crossroads, when we can go up or we can go down in this particular kind of sideways trade. Okay, so over the last day, maybe a little bit more, we can see that we've just been stuck inside this range. It's kind of marked out with this low range of 18,471 and the high range of 20,385. Okay, so we're stuck inside here. Until we break one of these dashed lines, we're kind of going to continue going sideways, right? Sounds pretty obvious, but we can't make a decision as to what way it's going to swing until we actually break one of them. Okay, this is using Elliott wave theory. We are looking for three waves and we're looking for a direction in the market. Ultimately, we can move up towards this 20,774. Okay, this is our one target on the bullish side of things. And we have the lower target around 18,294. Okay. Now, essentially, we are looking at this bigger move to the downside. This is always going to be valid. It's only really the short-term move that we don't know about. Okay, in order to prevent ourselves moving down to this low, we have to move up higher. And we have to move up higher than this high point just up here. Now, if I go ahead and throw a dashed line on here to show you that's 22,799. Okay, so we've got quite a journey to make before we can say that we're not moving down to 16,000 under this three-wave structure. Okay, so there's a few things to kind of talk about and a few things to kind of take a look at in a little bit more detail. Okay, so let's go ahead and focus in here. We've got two structures. Ignore this one for a second. In fact, if I actually go ahead and just temporarily delete that, you can see we have this kind of ABC structure coming up here and potentially an ABC structure coming down here. Now, this one, we can, of course, argue it is over here and it is complete, and we can just do this. Okay, here's three waves, and we'll look for three waves more. And then we can move up to this higher range afterwards. That is also a possible scenario, okay? So it's possible that we do break down before we go up, okay? To expect some volatility within this. And essentially, that macro move would look, as I had it, like that, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about this structure. Why do I think this is only a possible move and not necessarily a guarantee? Well, everything in the crypto space isn't necessarily a guarantee in the first place. And it's important that we kind of, do our own research, come to our own conclusions. Now, just a mental note, I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give you financial advice. But what I'm telling you here is something for you to dig on and do your own research on, dig into it deeper and come to your own conclusions, okay? Essentially, this move to the downside isn't very clear, which is why I say that this could be a move to the downside under a three-wave structure. If we had a very definitive kind of three-wave move here, then I'd be a little bit more confident in thinking, okay, well, maybe we are going to move straight up. Okay, but we don't. We have a very clear kind of drop, and then we have a three-wave bounce up. We have 1, 2, and 3 just in here, right? We can see very clearly three waves going up there. Then, of course, we don't necessarily have this clear move coming down. So we're about halfway through this C wave. I would expect to bounce to the upside. Okay, so we'd end up looking something like this and then come down into this low range, right? So we're looking for a bit of a bounce and then we're looking down. Now, one of the things I will say is B waves are incredibly unpredictable. These can be short, they can be deep, they can just be midway through, right? No one really has a good steer as to where this is. Most people will say expect about a 50% retracement of this move, right? So a lot of people will put it about halfway through here. But the truth is it's unpredictable. It can be anything. So it's not exactly a wave that we want to trade on. This is not a tradable wave. Instead, we wait for it to play out and then we make our moves, okay? So looking at it, that's how I perceive it to be. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to see this as a potential move to the downside rather than a move to the upside. I think this will come later. This is my most probable, but of course we have to break this low to mean that that's possible. Okay, if we go up higher, then this isn't happening and we're just moving into that higher range, and I got this subwave count incorrect. Okay, so we have to understand that I'm not going to be right 100% of the time. Okay, and if I am wrong, then we have to have a plan for that. Okay, so I plan for both cases scenarios, which is why we've got these dashed lines here. So if we come down lower, we complete this structure, then we can go up. If we go up, then this is not going to happen and we'll have a different structure to the downside, and we plot that out. Okay, so have a plan for both scenarios, but act on what we believe to be the most probable. Okay, but I'm not a financial advisor. You do your own research, come to your own conclusions. So let's go ahead and dig deeper into this, right? So we have Elliott waves. So what, right? Not many people believe in Elliott wave theory, and a lot of people don't understand how it works. So instead, let's go into some other stuff, right? Let's not just focus on the wave counts. Let's go ahead and take a look at the order books. So the order books here, or these order blocks, this is the BB order block indicator on TradingView. Okay, this allows us to see where people are placing their spot orders, right? So we can see that there's some sell orders up here. That's pretty close to this level, right? So as this kind of comes across, I went Canadian for a second there. As we can see here, right, 20,777. This comes in at 20,840 to 20,890. Yeah, that seems like a pretty interesting order block, considering we have the waves count saying we've got 20,700. So that's an area of focus. Down here, what do we have? We have another order block. Okay, this one comes in at 18,100 to 18,150. This is very close to our low end target. Okay, so we've got two order blocks, kind of not helping us make a decision as to which way it's going to swing, but confirming our wave counts. Okay, so our wave counts seem probable, as in we have this macro one here, 1, 2, and I say macro, it's not really macro, but it's here, right? Coming into this order block. Last time we had an order block, we've got rejected. This is going to be a rejection point. Last time we had an order block down here, although it didn't hit it, bounced up, right? You can see that these are close but not quite getting hit, and they're moving their order blocks over time, right? We can see that, okay, it didn't get hit here, we'll place a buy order here, we'll place a buy order here, and they're moving those targets, right? These are not getting repainted. We can see all of the history of where these order blocks have been, so we understand where those spot orders are being placed. Okay, so we have liquidity down here, we have liquidity up here. Liquidity is obviously a whale's best friend, right? That's how they accumulate or sell without moving the price. Okay, so we've got that liquidity. Let's go ahead and throw on some more. Let's use the leverage position liquidity and see what's going on here. Okay, now we get an idea as to what might actually happen. Okay, so we have some small time. This is just the hourly chart. Okay, this is just hourly chart stuff, right? So these are small blocks of orders and these are small blocks of liquidity. If I come up into the daily, bring this down, you can see bigger blocks, they aggregate together down in these low ranges and these high ranges. Okay, so we're talking specifically on the hourly chart, the here and the now. We're not talking about the bigger picture moves. Okay, they come in later. Okay, so we're talking about what's happening, what's the most probable kind of scenario. So let's plot this out. We're looking for a B wave up higher. Where do we think it's going to end? Well, we've got a probable move, actually probably around here. This is a reasonable amount of liquidity that can get grabbed. We've already seen some come off here, some more entering in as people are thinking that's it, we're going north. So we'll see some small liquidity down here. And we have some up here as well. Okay, so these green areas, these are going to be sell orders from liquidations, essentially, okay? And people who went short on the market basically have to get liquidated at some point or take profits, right? So some of this is going to happen. They might come out with a small loss, they might get liquidated, etc. This is what this is indicating to us. On the lower side, these are going to be buy orders. These are where people went long, expecting the price to go up higher. So they sold Bitcoin cheaper. Actually, they bought Bitcoin, down here, okay, expecting the price to come up higher, but actually the price went down lower. They're going to have to sell that Bitcoin to fulfill their orders, okay? So basically sell orders and buy orders, okay? So interestingly, we have it the opposite way around when we start thinking about leverage versus spot order books, okay? So just be aware of that. So what we've kind of got going on here is potentially liquidity that can grab on this B wave. It's possible that we can move up higher towards the 19,800 range. I just don't think that's really juicy enough for the whales and the institutions to, or kind of liquidity hunters to go after. I don't think that's really probable. I could be wrong. That could be a range that they go for. But, you know, we'll see. But this is why B waves are so unpredictable, right? It could be here, it could be there. it could be anywhere. One of the things that we do know, though, is once this B wave is done, I'm just going to put it somewhere in the middle there, we are going to move down. And where is the liquidity on the way down? Well, we had that order block, but we also have this liquidity from liquidations and leverage positions right in here as well. So we have the order block for spot orders, and we have the leverage players getting liquidated at the same zone. That there is juicy liquidity that people are going to be trying to target. Okay, that's coming very close to our three-wave structure low points. This makes this a high probable scenario in my mind. There's a liquidity to grab on the way down. All these kind of swing lows, these create little areas of liquidity, right? We can see this one here. This one actually marries up with this one, and this one is over here. This one's actually a little bit lower than this. That's also quite a common practice, as this one is also giving us a little bit of a buffer just in case anything happens, but coincided with this order book. This here is going to be an interesting point for Bitcoin. It's going to be the end of a three-wave structure, in my opinion. We move up, we move down, we grab the liquidity, then we can move up from here. Okay, and again, you'll be liquidating people who are then shorting the market, whatever, right? And so for the next kind of move for Bitcoin, I think is down, then it is up. Okay, so we're going to move this B wave low point down to this juicy liquidity down here, and then we're going to have our high swing up towards this liquidity up at 20,800 approximately. Okay, so interesting stuff for Bitcoin. When we take a look at the Elliott wave theory and where the Elliott wave theory is matching up with the liquidity pockets, really interesting stuff, whether you choose to believe in Elliott wave theory or not, it's all there. And we have the order blocks and we have the liquidity zones. Now, these are not perfect 100%. I cannot guarantee that. This is, of course, just Binance as well, right? And this is the pair that I'm using. So this will look different depending on what exchanges you're using as well. Okay, so we're just talking Binance at this point, and on the hourly chart. So, interesting kind of stuff that we got to think about. I think the next move is a small bounce up, really tiny, wouldn't even think about trading it, and then a move to the downside. That is potentially something that you might want to trade. It's entirely up to you. I'm not a financial advisor. I can't give you financial advice, but that is what the data in the charts are telling me right now. Guys, I'm going to leave this video right there. If you found it useful and informative, you know what to do. If you haven't joined us in Discord, go ahead and join us. I don't think you'll regret it. Guys, until the next one, have a fantastic day.